Hey guys, so I've been getting a lot of requests on how to convert the bulbs on a Texas Star into LEDs, so I'm going to do this short video and show you guys how to do this. We're going to disassemble the front of these buttons. Already got the lid off, and if you look inside on your Texas Star, you'll see these tabs right here at the tip of the pen. They connect to the push button switches. Each one connects to one pin if you look further down. Each of these actually go on these angled tabs right here. You should go inside the button, and those are the contacts that your bulb sits in. So I'll go ahead and disassemble these buttons and we'll continue at that point. Alright, so here we've got the button caps and the button bodies removed. I left the last one on to show you. You pretty much just pinch on it and pull out, and they'll snap out, where your push button is actually right here that activates. Inside, you'll notice the contacts. If you've replaced a bulb before, you've seen them in there. They're just kind of to the left and to the right. There's two tabs on each side, and they sort of pinch together so they hold the bulb in place. So anyway, like I showed you in the last piece, these are the tips of these contacts are what goes into the back side of the switches and contacts those pins. So what we were doing before is we were taking a 3mm LED and a 560 ohm quarter watt resistor and doing a little bit of bending on the legs, like you can see right here. So you bend them so they're about the same thickness as the bulb bayonet mount and just kind of push them in there. They work like that, but there's some problems with it. They especially if you're in a truck and you like to play around in the hills, they have a tendency to come undone. So what we're showing you today is we're going to push them all the way through the contacts and solder them on the backside to make them permanent, still retaining the LED or the resistor to make sure that we keep it down at a 3 to 4 watt scale. The resistors are to knock down the 13.8 in your vehicle. So we'll go ahead and get one in place and we'll start up again. Alright, so here we have 4 LEDs and 4 560 ohm quarter watt resistors. I went with a 3mm LEDs simply because that's what I had in the box. So you can go with your 5mm LEDs. There's certainly plenty of room in there to do it. They're all typically going to be 20 milliamp draw, and that's why quarter watt resistor is plenty for it. If you want to, or if that's all you've got, you can certainly go half watt or bigger, but you start running into some size requirements. So we'll go ahead and put a few of these together, show you how we feed them through. Keep one thing in mind. You'll notice on the LEDs that there is one leg longer than the other. Now on this Texas Star, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same for the rest of them, when you're looking at the face, you want to make sure that the longer of the two legs goes into the contact on the left hand side. If you put them in backwards, you're not going to burn anything up. Obviously you want to make sure you're not plugged into power, but what you're going to find is it just doesn't light up. Placement of the resistor on either of the two legs is not an issue. You can put it on whichever. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the same leg that is longer on each of the LEDs, just as a point of reference, so that I'll remember to make sure I solder the resistor terminal over on the left hand side. So we'll get a few of these installed. I'll show you what one looks like here in just a second, and we'll do a test, pull it into the truck and fire it up. Okay, so we've got 3 of them mounted, soldered in. I've got one here to show you. Now I cut the leg, that longer leg on the LED, probably 2.5 millimeters from the base of the lens, and did the same to one leg on the resistor. You end up getting something that looks like that. So you end up the resistor still being the long leg. I left the other end untrimmed. So let me spin it around here. Now you can see the solder joints. I went ahead, it looks like these things might even be made out of probably silver dipped whatever, because they do look a little corroded like silver gets. So you'll notice that right here there's a solder joint for the longer leg that was the resistor, and the short leg of the LED came just perfect for the depth that I set to the other terminal on the inside. So I went ahead and tinned all of these with solder prior to putting the LEDs in. On the LEDs themselves, with the assembly configured, I did the tip of the short leg and then directly next to it on the other leg. So those are pre-soldered as well, just to make a good quick contact once I get it in there. You'll notice I did this, and when I pushed them in, the base of this resistor touches the inside of the contact on the left of the switch. So I'll get these solder joints put back together on the last one, and we'll show you how it looks. Keep in mind, I went with this depth, and you'll have enough room doing it this way. These push buttons that actually are activated by those switch push button bodies that I took off in their most outward position, that's in and that's out. The tips of the LEDs, the way that I assembled them with the resistors, are just a little bit shallower in depth than the tip of the switch when it's fully extended. So it's not going to cause a problem being too close to the lens. It just worked as a good way to do it in keeping the resistor on this side of the contacts, because if you were to put it on the other end, you'd have an issue with getting, you know, the whole thing through those set of contacts and the switch into the back side where they're soldered. So I went this route. It's pretty simple. Gives you a good baseline on how far they go in, and it works like a self-stop. So if that doesn't work for you, you can try a different way, but it's going to work for the setup here, as I'm going to show you here in just a bit. I'll go ahead and get that fourth LED in there. I'll go ahead and do a quick piece about the switch bodies with most of the caps on, and then we'll go ahead and fire it up after that and show you how they look different. Alright guys, I'm just sitting out here in front of the truck. You can see the LEDs in there, plenty of clearance. Here you go. Not bad, nice and bright. Plain LED without it. One thing to keep in mind, this particular switch, the AM switch here, was actually wired backwards. The positive, the LED with the resistor on it, had to be wired so that it was on the right side of the switch instead of the left side, like I was telling you earlier. So we'll go ahead and get it in the truck and fire it up. Okay guys, we're all back in the truck. It's getting kind of dark out. I did this after work and the sun's going down, so these are going to look really bright. They're really not as bright as this camera's picking them up, but well, I guess you're going to have to try it for yourself to see. So we got all the LEDs in. Like I said in the last piece, the AM switch, if you've got a 4 switch like this one, this is a 4-pill by the way, actually had backwards power on it. The 12 volt lead on the tabs were actually on the right hand side instead of the left. So my power, my receive amp, my sideband delay switch all had power going on to the left tab. That's the side that I took the long leg down on the LED and put a resistor on that lead. I soldered them that way. The AM switch had, again, the 12 volt lead was on the right side, so all I did is just, you know, took it out, popped it back in backwards, and or in this case the right way, and soldered it back down, and we're good. So we're back in the truck. It's mounted on the back side of the center console from the front driver and passenger seat in the area there, kind of behind those two and just ahead of the rear seat in the SUV. So here we got the power, receive, AM, and sideband delay. And I'll never have to replace those pieces of shit again with those 18 volt bulbs that like to go out under a year. Especially if you like to go four-wheeling and they get to bounce around a bit. That's it. Stress test up here in the Badlands right around the northwest corner. Y'all have a good one. 73s.